Welcome to the first episode of More to This Life, the podcast that dives deep into the realms of the uncharted mysteries of life, music, love, and everything that makes us humans move. Join me on this journey into the extraordinary lives of artists, entrepreneurs, and bright, shining changemakers of this world, unlocking the mysteries behind their craft and exploring the depth of their creative souls. I'm your guide on this journey, Philip Schott, or as you might know me, Templemind. For those who don't know, when I'm not in my studio creating epic rock anthems, I step into the roles of a guide, teacher, and healer within the Modern Mystery School to empower individuals on their journey of self-discovery and cultivate a deeper connection with their true selves. In today's monumental first episode, we have the honor of hosting an artist whose journey seamlessly weaves through the realms of music and spirituality. He's a soulful creator known to many as Jagwar Twin, and to me, a dear friend and brother. His name, Roy English. With over 380 million, on-demand streams and 1.7 million monthly listeners on Spotify, Jagwar Twin's impact on the music scene is undeniable. His music has graced top editorial playlists. He's a permanent mark on stages worldwide, supporting Avril Lavigne's 2019 national tour and sharing the stages with Transviolet on that spring 2023 national tour. I've had the privilege of walking alongside Roy for the past 5 years, journeying together through the path of initiation, sharing moments of songwriting, to co-hosting meditations for thousands of people worldwide during the challenging times of the pandemic. Roy's evolution stands as a testament to the transformative power of creativity and self-discovery. Join us on this first episode as we unravel the story, inspirations, and the creative genius behind this phenomenal artist. Without further ado, let's dive into More to This Life with our special guest, the one and only Roy English. What's up, bro?
I'm doing great, Phil. Thank you so much for having me. What an intro! That was an epic intro. Wow! I'm like, yeah, let's go.
You're the best, bro.
Also,
you deserve it
incredible
all.
song.
Thank you.
More to This Life is such an incredible song. Thank you for creating that.
It means a lot to me, bro. Last time we've been in front of a camera, it was with the pandemic. Remember when we hosted these meditations?
That's right. That was such a beautiful time.
I wonder if we can do that one day again, you know? Let's see.
I think we will.
I think you will. Okay. So very grateful to have you here, brother. And you have a big light, and I'm happy if I can support your light and share more of your greatness, because I think many facets of you, and I'm honored to have you here.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. Let's start with the first question. So let's dive a little bit into your soul. Looking back, can you share with us a moment from your early years or childhood that you feel laid the foundation for the artist and also healer that you are or you become? And how does this formative experience shape your perspective on life and creativity?
A few come to mind. Even as a small child, I was very sensitive to things. I could feel and perceive a lot. And I actually first wanted to be an actor. So I started acting. My mom would drive me to auditions in LA, and I really loved it. And this one key moment comes to mind where there was a ballet class, and I was probably 7 years old or so. And my mom said, well, if you want to be an actor, it'd be great to learn how to dance. And I was like, yeah, I love dancing. Let's do this. So I went into ballet class, and I loved it so much. And I had my cool bowl cut, and I had my tights and my tap shoes and my ballet shoes. But I remember this one pivotal moment where, after probably a couple months doing it, there was this rumor that began that that I must be gay if I was a boy doing a girl's sport, a girls' art form. And it was a small private Christian school. And I didn't even know what being gay was, but with the way that people were talking about it, it was like this bad thing.
Right.
And so I was like, what am I doing was bad? How am I bad? And there was this moment where at the ballet class at my school, all the girls surrounded me and they were just like taunting me, "You're not a real boy. You're not even a real boy." Uh,
Wow.
like, and it was this moment I came home crying. And I vowed to never dance again after that.
Mm.
And it was so interesting, and that sort of led to me not acting again and all these like sort of deep insecurities. But it also led me to music, because music was something that I could still express my soul through. It was an alternative path. So there's probably a timeline somewhere where I'm either a ballerina or an actor, but now I'm doing music, and I'm so grateful for it, and it's been a journey.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So much comes up when you say that. Like, it reminds me of Pinocchio, be a real boy, right? You know, and because you are just being a real boy because you wanted to just dance, and then society was like putting those dogmas on you in that early childhood, right?
Right.
And I was also thinking like the connection of that to being gay is something bad in Christianity, you know, that it's, you know,
Right.
in the ancient traditions, we only say there's love and you can express that love with whoever you want, because that's just how we express it. There shouldn't be any dogma or judgment, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, already thank you for that deep, open sharing. I think that can help a lot of people, you know, just open up more.
Yeah, and wherever we end up going, we're still learning the same lessons. And I think that's something that I've seen recently. Whether or not I was a ballerina or an actor or a musician or a gardener or a plumber, I would be learning the same things that I am now, just in different ways. It's like your soul, your operating system has this directive to for you to learn certain things. And I think music has been and is such a great way for me to self-reflect, because if there's a block, if something's not happening, like, well, what is that?
Mm.
Why? Where is that in me? Where am I blocking myself? Where do I need to let go? Where am I holding on too tightly? And so I say that to be like, whoever's watching this, whatever you're doing, it almost doesn't matter in a sense. It's how you do it.
Right. Love it. As you do one thing, you should do everything, right? That's like, put everything to it, no matter what it is. And it's a great segue to the next question. So, music serves often as a companion through various life stages, right? So, can you recall a specific song or piece of music that has been a guiding light or source of comfort for you during challenging times or moments of self-discovery?
Coldplay's entire catalog. Oh,
Yeah, sounds good.
so I mean specifically classics like The Scientist.
Mm.
The Scientist is such a deep song, and when I listen to it, I feel God and this like longing to come back to
Right.
God. And you're searching in your mind and you're trying to figure out these equations, but then it's like really about your heart. And that's a song that has continued to just come up for me. And an artist, they have so many songs like that, but that song in particular comes to mind at the moment.
Yeah, I feel in Coldplay, there's this purity that we humans like, you know, this connection. It's not really, it's worship music, but they never sing about like a savior or Jesus or anything, but it's somehow always talking about this higher power, you know, that was another single. And I
Yeah,
think that's what we all love so much. Yeah,
yeah.
love it. The scientists, we are all soul scientists, basically, when we go deeper, right? And become more aware.
Oh yeah, soul
Um,
scientist.
yeah. So You're an artist. You have worked with many people. Many people. You're in the industry for such a long time, and as artists, often we face pressure to conform to industry trends. How do you stay true to your authentic self, and what advice would you give to emerging artists on maintaining their uniqueness despite external influences? Or managers, labels.
That is such a good question. And to be honest, I think that's something that I have fucked up on so bad for a large portion of my career. But I'm grateful that I did, because how else was I going to learn? I had to learn it somehow. But the idea of being able to trust your own internal guidance, compass, trust your heart. And what does it mean to trust your heart, really? Because it's such a vague, abstract concept. And I found that there is this voice inside, everybody has it, that feels like the true voice, the true self. You could call it your holy guardian angel, your higher self, or your heart. Different people describe this thing in different ways, the Holy Spirit. But it's this thing, it's a small voice that you know what you're supposed to do, or you feel something. Like if I'm writing a song, or say if I finished a song and it gives me the chills, and it's powerful and it's truthful, it's telling a truth from my soul, from my experience, that it's almost like the divine God flowing through us to say this truth that only I could say, or only you could say, or only this person could say. Those are so important, but oftentimes those things don't make sense in the mind, in the logic with the intellect. And so I've had so many experiences where I felt something so deeply, a song, say, for an example, and I've had managers or record labels say, this doesn't make any sense. No one's going to listen to this kind of music. But we as artists we're given the gift of sort of seeing and knowing things before they happen. And maybe we don't even know them, but it just comes through us. And so many times, my entire life since I've been a child, I've known what was going to happen a few years from now, styles, trends, musically, without logically knowing it, but I would start to do something or just be attracted to something. And so, for a concrete example, I had a song, Happy Face. I was signed to a major label. I was signed to Atlantic Records, and I made this song with a brilliant producer, songwriter friend of mine, Matt Pauling, who we've done a lot of stuff with. And we loved this song. And it was weird. It had this sort of German, Polish, Slavic accordion vibe and a sort of circus-like Swedish melody and a children's choir. And we're like, this is so cool. And the record label was like, we don't know how to market this. This is not going to work. There's not an audience for this. And they ended up dropping Jagwar Twin. And they ended up just giving the song back to me because they're like, this song sucks. They took some of the songs that were more, straight ahead alternative rock. They're like, we're going to keep an override, what's called an override. So they would still own some rights to it. With Happy Face, they're like, you can just have this one back. And it was so funny because then I ended up releasing the song independently. And fast forward, the song is over 100 million streams on DSPs now because it connected with people. And I'll say that it didn't connect right away. I didn't drop it and it didn't go viral right away. It took a couple years to sort of gain traction and for the world to be in the place where the consciousness happened to be thinking and feeling the same thing that was what was talking about in the song. But I say that also to say that you as an artist, your job is just to do what the divine intelligence is telling you to do or feel that, and you're not going to understand it, or you might, but you're probably not going to logically understand why it's going to work or why it's not. but just trusting yourself, and I would say trusting God, that you're given these impulses for a reason, and then also learning the difference between this is coming from my mind or this is coming from my heart.
Yeah, I think we can interchange your deepest heart, the God within, right? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
some people still have a problem with the word God, and I hope this podcast
Sure.
helps to brings more lightness to this word. And but beautiful share. Thank you so much. I think it also brings back to the patience that we need as an artist need, as most artists are so fiery persons, right? We want
Mm-hmm.
things right away and things to happen, be in the Madison Square Garden tomorrow. So we need to practice patience and trust our craft, right? Our art,
Right.
and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Trust and move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are already two great lines for songs in this podcast that I wrote down. So let me put this there as well.
Great.
Anyhow, next one. So for emerging artists entering the industry, the temptation to partake in certain behavior can be very strong. What advice do you have for all our listeners of navigating the space for the first time, especially when it comes to substances, What?
I mean, I explored that, and I think most people do.
Right.
And I don't think it's necessarily good or bad when you're exploring, but you can get lost in it. You can definitely get lost in it. And I don't think that it didn't lead me anywhere good. I'll say that. So, and you can tell somebody don't do that, and that's exactly like if you tell me don't do something, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Right.
So I wouldn't say don't do anything or do anything, but my experience is that you can get lost. And I used especially alcohol as a crutch when I would go to parties, and I'd have to go, meet the president of some company, and I'd be nervous. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna have like a couple drinks to take the edge off. But it was just masking, like, why am I nervous? Well, really, I was nervous because I felt like this person could give me something, that I had something to gain from this person, and I wasn't enough in myself to be worthy of this record deal or this whatever it was. And being very aware with especially alcohol that it was always masking something. But now I have so much fun going to things sober. I feel more high and drunk sober because I can just sit there and observe what's going on in me. A good example is when you go to a party, and if you walk into a big party and you feel nervous, it's like it's easy to have a drink and then I'm a little less nervous. But for me now, when I walk into a party with no substances and say I feel nervous, I can clock, is this me being nervous? Or am I picking up somebody else's energy or the collective vibe of this place?
True.
And then I can discern where this thing is coming from. Because artists, we're very empathetic people. And a lot of times it's very difficult to know what is from somebody else or something else and what is truly from us. Substances blur that line even more. Well, you're actually, it is from something else because you're taking in an external substance. But I think it's so important as an artist to know yourself and know where things are coming from, even in your songwriting. And I've heard some people that I really also look up to as artists, like Kendrick Lamar and Tyler, the Creator, and Jay-Z, like they don't use substances when they write, ever. And it's funny because you sort of have this perception of like, oh, you get into this flow if you smoke a little weed or drink, and I've had that and done that, but it's not from a pure place, and oftentimes it's confusing.
Yeah. I think also artists, and I also have done many substances. I tried a lot of things because, as you said before, we are very sensitive as artists, right? We perceive a lot, and sometimes it's too much for us. That's why we take substances to shut down again. But then we also shut down from higher inspiration from our higher self, our God within in our heart. So that's why it's good to know yourself and know that you are bigger in the end than any drug from this world. And to become that drug, right? As Dali said, he said, "I am the drug. I don't take any drugs." But that's
Yes.
the path back to know thyself, right?
I had a good reflection on this once where I had a friend he's a Kabbalist in Spain. And I was showing him some music. This was a few years ago. And he said, "What's really interesting because you write from two different," he called them like rays or colors. And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, sometimes," he's like, "it's not bad or good, but sometimes I hear a song and he gave me examples of songs that I was working on demos. He said, these ones are from their yellow ray to him. That's how he just described
Okay.
it. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, well, it's like, they're awesome. They're good. Your voice sounds awesome. The stories are great. The songs make sense. The production's cool. But then you have these songs that are like green ray. And he described those as more songs from the heart, where he was like, it's this resonance that you feel deeply when you listen to this, and your voice sounds just as good, the production is just as good, but it feels like it's from a
Yeah.
higher
No.
place. And I think there's something even with success where when you're making something that's so true and pure, people resonate it with a different way. People can feel if you're being true and authentic, or if you're writing a song that you just feel like is going to be a hit. Those songs
Right.
don't usually become hits. Not that that's even the goal, but it's just
No,
sort of a byproduct.
it is. Yeah. For sure. In your songwriting, you meditation is a process also in your songwriting process. As you journey through your personal transformation, how has your own transformation through meditation impacted the evolution of your music and the way you approach your career as an artist?
Meditation changed everything. Just becoming much more aware of my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, and becoming aware of the one who's observing those thoughts and
Right.
feelings and emotions, and the one who is aware of being aware is me at my purest essence. And so learning to know that I am that person has really changed everything. It's changed the reason why I make music, and the process in which I go about to make it.
Yeah. Meditation is key, right? We want to that life becomes our meditation in the end.
Yeah, even now in this moment,
Yeah.
just clocking in to, hold on, what do I feel? What do I think? What do I perceive? What are the
Right.
energies around me? What's Philip? What's you? What is our collective child that we're creating in this? And it's really beautiful. And then everything becomes this dance.
Yeah. And even for you, the listeners or viewers, check in this moment. What is here? I said before we started with this interview. Because in the end, nothing is here. Only the things that you bring here, consciously or subconsciously. So, what do you bring here in this moment? What do you perceive? I perceive only goodness and God within Roy, this moment. And I think I speak for both of us. We invite you to practice that too. Be grateful. Gratitude is the biggest opener of healing, peace, right? So, into the nothingness of the all, choose to bring goodness and gratitude.
Wow.
right?
That's huge. Nothing is here except that which you bring to it.
Hmm. Yeah. Only from there we can also say say hello to new people. Otherwise, we have projections on them, right? We need to always greet new people from without judgment because we don't know. Yeah, it's a good practice.
It's big.
I think it's a great segue also to our next category. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. I
Uh-oh.
think I'm ready. I think
Okay,
I'm
let's
ready,
see.
but I have a feeling this is gonna be sexy.
It's gonna be sexy. I like. Well, this is the first episode, bro. We need more. The sexiness might come in our other episode. Let's see.
Are you
Happy to
bringing
go
sexy
there.
back?
We bring sexy back. That's why I put that shirt on. You know.
Right.
So let's talk about spirituality and God, or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some sexiness in that topic too, right? Should be.
That's sexy. That's
Should
super
be.
sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hot.
Right. It's so hard. Oh yeah. Okay. So your spiritual journey is an integral part of your life. How would you describe your personal beliefs about God or higher power, source?
Ooh.
And how do these beliefs influence your music and the message you want to convey with Jagwar Twin?
Well, that's a small question.
Right? Only small questions today.
Yeah. I would say I always believed in God. Even when I was a kid,
Love it.
I felt there was something. And even through all my journeying, I always believed in God. But I don't believe in God anymore. I know God, and that's different. I I I know God as I know myself. And God is in all things and is all things. And you can use a different name. You could use the universe. You could use source. But if I tried to convince anyone from any religion, say who is a devout in that religion, that God doesn't exist, Allah doesn't exist, or Jehovah doesn't exist, or whatever it is, whatever the God is, you can't do that. You can't convince someone that God doesn't exist. But I see that as sort of an indicator, like Philip, if you said, Roy, you don't exist. You're not here.
Right.
I would be like, well,
Denial of reality. Yeah.
I am though.
Yeah.
I know I am. And that's sort of how I see myself, and myself as God. Because I know the different voices in my head. And I guess in a sense they're all God, but there's the one voice that's the source.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's this big sentence, the three magic words, I am God. And that is a thing that triggers many people. But that
Very
sentence,
triggering.
it's not about that I am the only one, because that will also cross out the other person. I think it's more about if we every human being can own that sentence and then come together in that one God, like the many in the all of the oneness, right? I mean, then we have world peace. Yeah.
Right.
There is this word Adam from the Bible, and if you translate it, it means many. So we are the Adamic seed, the many in the one energy, what we would call God. And then if you don't like God, in the goodness of everything that is, So
yeah,
I'm
and even atoms, like we are atoms
Yeah.
in the body of
Love
God.
it.
And even looking at it, like the Bible talks
Mm.
about, we are all the body of God and we're the blood of Christ and all these things. And you're like, well, what does that mean? But if you looked at it like I'm a red blood cell, you're a red blood cell, maybe there's a white blood cell over there, and we all make up God. We
Yeah.
are all a little
With the living
portion.
blood of God,
Well,
man. You
right.
know? Yeah. White blood, black blood, green blood, everything, blue blood, you know?
Yep.
It's all of us, you know? Just different expressions of the one thing. And yeah, if we would focus more on this and not on separation or racism or anything, like just understand that. I mean, I hope that this podcast or any type of collaboration way we do brings more about that understanding in a very easy and effortless way, yeah, to the people.
That's what we need right now. So
Yeah,
much division in the world.
yeah, man.
Because that's the truth.
Yeah. Every time we point a finger, there's the problem. You know, there are three fingers pointing back at us. So we need to practice unity, teamwork. It's a practice because there's so many thousands of years of separation, of separative energies. Let's call it that way, right?
Mhm.
It's never the human; it's the energy behind that brings the separation.
Right.
So, yeah,
That's a good point you bring up too, where it's never the human. Because even if
yeah,
somebody is behaving in a way that you're like, this feels like
yeah,
evil,
yeah,
knowing that it's not the human being, there's something else working through them. There's an energy working through them at play,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and
Because
that
there's a
that also
scent.
helps.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that helps um, to not be attached to blaming this human being,
Right. Have more
because
compassion
we
for
all
them.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When we
have
see
more.
it, when we are aware of it, it has to be within us to be perceived, right?
Mm,
And also when we say God is in the heart of every human, goodness is in the heart of every human. If we can
yes,
focus on seeing that, and then there is a layer on top of it that is corrupted, hurt by other hurt people. Um, that's the way, right? So I have this question here that says, "Where do you think God is in this moment?" I think we answered that a little bit, but maybe where is it for you in this moment? In this moment,
in this drink that I'm drinking.
for sure. Yeah, yeah,
I made some Mayan hot chocolate. That's what I'm drinking. God is definitely in this.
love it, love it. Yeah, it's everywhere where your focus is, right? Yeah. Good meditation method is always to how much can you expand in front of you, behind you, to your left, to your right, above, below you,
Mm.
and stay that center and just imagine, feel every direction. You,
That's a good technique that I've used often, going into different places, going into some place I've never been, or a party or a meeting, is picturing myself expanding as far as the room is, or as big as the place is. And I think that you expand your aura and people can feel that. And I've seen people just, without me having to do anything, try to, especially in LA, it's like you try to network, and it's like, if you just be and you're in that integrity and you're expanded, people want to talk to you. People are
yeah,
curious about you, and I think that's a good technique for everybody to use. You don't have to try. Just expand your awareness, expand your being, your field, and
yeah. You can
you
become
develop
also
a
aware.
magnetism.
Yeah, and you become more aware of your aura around you. It's not just your physical body. There's something more just by a focus of awareness.
Right.
So Elroy Royster, you've been involved in meditation and very holy spiritual practices in the mystery traditions, over Kabbalah teachings in Hermeticism. How do you incorporate all this wisdom, meditation, and methods into your life? How does it affect your music? And also, how does it translate in your life energetic performances? I think that's also very interesting.
Well, Kabbalah specifically completely changed the way that I write songs. It helped me so much to understand what energies were coming from where, and really it made sense of so many things because it's a system and there's different symbols and how do you describe Kabbalah? it's so.
How would you describe it as for a child, bro? If I would be like a 6-year-old, and this is not a doobie, it's like just some Palo Santo here for those who are curious. How would you describe Kabbalah to a 5-year-old? Let me be 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kabbalah, if you're 5, it's how everything works, how everything is connected, every thought, every feeling, everything in the physical, it's all the same thing. Music theory, music scales, archangels, gods and goddesses of the Greek and Roman, Egyptian pantheons. It's all the same system. And then you start to see it everywhere in the world, in governments, in systems, and in business, in music, and it's mind-blowing. It's so mind-blowing. And then I would say, then yeah, you come face to face with God, with the source of all things, and that's a very powerful experience. In terms of Hermetics, a similar outcome where it's how everything works, and you see, I would say it's almost laws of the universe, but not laws in like you should follow this or do this. It's like this is just the way the universe works, and you can choose to go with the flow of the universe or go against it, and it's fine if you do go against it. You're just not going to get where you're trying to go, and you're going to get redirected. So it's helpful to learn, in a way, it's like one of the Hermetic laws is cause and effect. And so it's like, that's a big one. This is, if you do this, this will happen. And even just understanding, like, one of the other ones that's big is gender, and how everything has a positive and negative charge, or masculine and negative. And it's not talking necessarily biological, it's just universal energies. And that one is so beautiful in a conversation. There's a receiving and there's listening. And then there's, and that's the feminine. And then there's the masculine, which is the speaking and the, exchanging information. And in creativity, what's helped me so much with both Hermetics and Kabbalah is sometimes I need to be the feminine force. Walk into the room and shut the fuck up because something's going on with these other people in the room, and I need to get out of the way. And I don't need to assert myself in my ego and be like, I'm the genius one who's going to come up with this beat or whatever.
Love it.
I'm going to relax this. And sometimes, and that also goes into this, so that being the feminine creative principle, the receiving. And then sometimes I'll go into a session or into the studio and I play the masculine force. So it's like, this is the idea, this is the direction, we're going here. And that's essential. But knowing when to balance what and feeling inside what needs to be done at any time, whether you're writing a song or having a conversation or doing a deal in business, or there's so many principles in Hermetics and also in Kabbalah that have helped so much.
I loved your joy and excitement about Kabbalah. Yeah, and everything we talk about, it has nothing to do with dogma, because most people know Kabbalah from the Jewish tradition, right, or Hebrew tradition. But there is also like a universal form that is basically a birthright, in my opinion, humble for every human to understand how that operating system of the soul really works. And that is the tree of life. There are new age forms out there that look like the tree of life, but I just heard that system, what's out there since the 80s, 70s, 60s, has been channeled under the influence of drugs again. You know, we can talk later about what I'm talking about. I'll let you know. But the Kabbalah is like, it's a true blueprint that everything sits and rests upon, and life is created through. So I also can highly recommend to go more into that with proper guidance and good teachers. And Hermeticism, I would add what you said, that the Hermeticism is, or that those teachings are the pure teachings that are not corrupted by the human mind, right? It's pure teachings that are prior to any thought of judgment, doubt, or fear. So this is always also good to get more into. And about the polarity stuff, love and hate, that was still like a big mind blow for me. It's the same energy, it's the same frequency, it's the same ray.
Sure.
It's just the extremes of the same thing. And if we can understand that if I hate it, I love it, but also I hate it, and then find the equilibrium in between it, there is choice again, right? So, yeah.
I love that. I love that example of love and hate being the same thing, and how quickly love can turn to hate. You're in love with someone, you're in a relationship maybe, and then something happens, or you break up, and then all of a sudden you hate this person. Well, how did that happen? And vice versa, knowing that if you hate something, you also love it. It's the example, where does love begin and hate start? Or where does, if something is temperature, if you're feeling water, where does hot begin and where does cold begin? And it's the same thing. The water is the same thing, but it's relative. It's a scale, all being from the same thing. That's a good point.
And how much do you know yourself? Because you only can get hurt when you don't know yourself. When you trust someone more that you then also dearly love, you trust, but you don't know your own value, and then you give your power away. And then when you suddenly understand how much you gave your power away, then it can very quickly flip onto the other side. And the pendulum swings to the hate part because you feel used and abused. But the problem was that you didn't know yourself in the beginning.
Right.
So it's definitely worth diving more into and receive healing or introspection, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you wear many hats. You're a musician. I know you're also a healer, entrepreneur. How do you strike a balance between these roles? And there's a great hat. You're also a hunter for wild animals. What's the balance between these roles, and what practices or routines contribute to your overall well-being to be that multidimensional being that you are? Because I know yesterday you did some healings, then today you're in the studio. How do you do that?
How? It all plays.
Nike?
It all.
Nike, just do
It
it.
all. Yeah, Nike. Yeah, just do it. It all plays into each other. Spending yesterday, I did a few healings on people, some artist friends, and it was really beautiful to have those exchanges. And I came home and I felt super inspired, and I have found through serving others more and some of the healing stuff and even doing my daily practices of meditation and things that I do, you could call it light work, have helped what I'm doing career-wise for my music to flow much quicker and easier and with less effort. Where I do feel like when you're in service to the world, when you're in service to God, the universe, things flow through you easier. And I find myself writing songs way quicker, than spending 8 hours in the studio. I could spend 2 hours and get the same amount of work done, even though it may be, a couple hours a day that are wasted on spiritual things, studies, meditations, whatever they be. That's made up. It's made up for in the flow when I do get into my work. I don't even like to call it work, but creating.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's no wasted moment when we focus back on our spiritual nature, when we do sacred meditations, sacred rituals that connects us back to our divine forces, right? Everything will flow more effortlessly in the world when we are really connected and allow, become the magician. I have this card here on my table, maybe something from the Rider-Waite tarot deck. The magician, that's all of us. If we connect more to the 4 elements, we all can yield tremendous power. So, yeah.
And when you say the 4 elements, I think that's an interesting point because often I would hear people say that connect to the 4 elements. I'm like, well, do I put rocks in my socks and pour water on my head? What do you mean? What do you mean connect with the 4 elements? That might be fun. It might be a good thing to do. But when you say that, what it brings up for me is connecting to the 4 elements. So, what is water? Sort of spiritually esoteric, being your emotions, the reflection of the properties that physical water has. You can observe those properties, and what does that have internally, spiritually? So, properties of water being reflective, it can be hot and cold, it can boil. All these things we can observe within ourselves. Where are our emotions at? Let's say, air. What is air? Your thoughts, information. What is the air around us? The land being your physical body, the fire being will, consciousness, your awareness, the connection with the divine. And I think that has helped me understand sort of the balancing of the elements within one's own self. And how do we pollute those things? And how do we, like, if we're polluting our oceans, let's say, where are we collectively polluting our emotions? If we're polluting our air, where are we polluting our thoughts? And if we're polluting our land and our soil on the earth, where are we polluting our bodies? And just looking at everything external being a mirror of the internal. And that goes back to what we were speaking about hermetics. As within, so without, as above, so below.
That's it. And if we then look at the density levels of those elements, everything comes from the sun, divine God, will, fire, comes then down into air. Air becomes thoughts within. How are the thoughts then shaping our emotions of the water, the ocean? Because the emotions are only then negative if our thoughts had heavier energies. And how is then our body, our life, feeling heavy or light due to our thoughts? The air. It's a fascinating thing, So
That's good.
I love that. So may we clean up our air, the air we breathing, meaning the thoughts we consume and choose. Nothing is here. What do you bring here by your own will? The sun. Yeah.
Your own will, the sun. That's good.
Yeah, man. Another song idea. Here we go. So, you have received a lot of spiritual work. You did initiations, And those often signify profound shifts in one's life. Can you share shamelessly a transformative moment or initiation on your journey that significantly altered your perspective on life, both as an artist or personal level? Whatever you want to share.
Yeah. Every initiation that I've done has shifted things for sure in my life. The most recent initiation that I did in London was such a transformative shift after the process. I just remember wanting to be alone, and I felt so clearly the divine spark saying, "Put your headphones in." I had some beats that I was supposed to be writing to, and this was funny because before going to London, I was like, I don't know if I can really do this trip. You know, traveling is expensive. I have things to do. I gotta write these songs, but I just did it, and it's like a week off of doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. Let's say. So after this initiation, it was like, put your headphones in, walk around, play these beats. And what was so wild was it just felt like these words were being dictated to me. As I listened to the beats, it was like, or typing on my phone, just, this is what needs to come into the material world through you. And it was this really beautiful shift. And even after that, the internal guidance system, I would say, has just been so crystal clear, and all these very interesting things have happened where I've done something or called someone out of the blue, just from this sense of do that, and that voice being so clear and loud now, I just could do it, and something amazing happens. That doesn't make sense before, it makes sense after. And I love this phrase. I say it often, that nonsense is the only sense that makes sense.
Wow.
I mean, if you can meditate on just that sentence, nonsense is the only sense that makes sense.
I get it. Love it, bro. That's a big one. Yeah. I'm adding to what you said with the initiations. When I don't do Templemind and the music, it is my job, and with working with God, in a sense, I help people to progress on that path of initiation, right? And to me, it's always fascinating, also on my journey, the resistance that comes up. Like, you don't want to do it. You have so many excuses not doing it. Then you do it, get your body there in the higher frequency, higher energy, and then you sit there in tears. I'm not sure if you cried in London, but I always like, oh my God, how much have I been resisting through my own stupidity, not knowing myself what it would be good for me, and then be humbled to the knees, feeling that divine grace even more deeply, and it's a true honor to receive these teachings, or because not so many people know that it even exists. How was that for you? Can you relate with the being humbled and see the stupidity that we often call ourselves, which is not,
You say by my own stupidity. And what's so funny about our own stupidity is it always disguises itself as smartness. The stupidity always says, I know. And it's almost like anytime it's the intellect talking, that's stupid. And I think there's this, it's like the idea that masters don't think, they do. You just know you're supposed to do something and you do it. And the thinking often leads us to stupidity. All my failures, all my blocking all my, I've done some dumb things and self-sabotaged in so many ways, and it was all from thinking. And I'm a very, my mind works a million miles a minute. I've always been a thinker, and I enjoy thinking, but that is also my biggest downfall, is that stupidity of thinking that I am smart.
Big. I think many people think that they're smart, right?
Yeah. And
You know,
look,
I think
we
I'm
are smart,
Yeah.
but also we're so dumb
Yeah.
if we're just, you know.
We need to practice to think that we don't know, that there is always more to understand, you know, humble ourselves again, because God knows and God is the all.
Right.
You know, it's a big concept. It's so much for the mind.
And we see so much
Yeah.
evil in the world created by the mind, created by, I'm so smart, I know this, you know, whether it's whatever religion or whatever group of people against this, it's people thinking that they know. They know they have the truth, they have the answer, and this other person doesn't. It's from the mind.
Yes. And to define evil, because I think also there's, in the new age of spirituality, they don't think there is evil. Everything is love. And yes, there is everything is love, but there's also, in the physical, we have duality. There's good things, there's evil things or bad things. And in the mystery school tradition or the ancient traditions, we define evil as anything that stops the progression of light or the progression of human to know more, to evolve more. So that's basically how we would define evil.
I think that's a good distinction. And in the sense, when people say there's nothing good, there's nothing bad, that is also true in a way, that all good and all bad, it creates this thing, and sometimes something that looks bad might actually be good, it might actually be a blessing. But yes, there is evil in the world, and defining it as such is important.
I mean, it brings up that sentence of, if we don't believe that the devil exists, then he has already won. You know, so we have to choose God, the goodness, to bring more light here. Yeah. Almost, bro. We're on the final line, but I have some good ones coming up, bro. Each journey, your life journey, navigating shadows, challenges. What period of your life were you faced significantly with shadows, and how did you find strength in the darkest hours of your life?
There's been a few. One was early on in my career, just nothing was happening, and I've been doing it for a few years, and I had no money, no place to go. I just, my girlfriend and I, who I thought I was going to marry, had just broken up, and just walking down Hollywood Boulevard, 5 a.m, because I didn't have a place to go. And I ended up writing this song. It's like, I saw stars on the pavement, California dreams. Looked up through the bright lights, no stars did I see, was the first line. And that song ended up getting picked up by a Swedish DJ called Alesso. And it ended up being a pretty big hit, and opened up some doors. But I found that every time there's something dark, I mean, in a lot of ways, even this period of my life now has been a lot of stripping away of every single thing that was comfortable. But every time that happens, there's always a gift. There's always a massive gift on the other side of it. And I've seen it happen so many times in my life, where this one that I'm in now, I'm like, I can't wait for the gift that's on the other side of this. And I forget who the author was. It might have been Don Miguel Ruiz. But the quote is that there's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. And I know that to be true. We learn so much from the problems and from the trials, so it
Yeah.
is a gift.
Yeah. What it brings up for me is the definitely Groundhog Day again. That everything we experience in life is for you. There is nothing that is like out of alignment or against you or too much for you. You just have to find the gift and the gold in it. And definitely rewatch Groundhog Day. You know.
That movie is amazing. I want to rewatch that because it's been probably a year or two since I've
Dude,
watched it.
have you just watched it one time?
No, I've watched it 2 or 3 times,
Okay.
but it's time
Every
for
year.
another watch. Yeah, every day.
No, every year. Every year I try. I think once a year I do this. When he sits at the table and telling that girl Rita, I think, I'm a god, and she doesn't believe it. You know, it's like, but there's so much wisdom in there. Has also been done by an initiate. There's so much wisdom in this movie because in the end it's about bringing love to every moment, helping the homeless person on the street as good as we can, and you know, it's the movie, man.
Dude, I have such a great story for you later about an encounter
Okay,
that I had.
I'm I'm looking forward
I'll
already.
save it
Probably
though.
everyone wants to know now, but maybe another episode. So here comes a big one. If you could send a message to your past self at the beginning of your journey, and another to your future self, what would those messages be, considering the growth, experiences, and insights you've gained?
To my past self, I would say everything's gonna be okay. You turn out awesome, and people love you. It's okay if you don't feel understood or seen now. You're gonna have a great life, and you're so special and brave. I would just make sure that little me really knew that everything is going to be okay, and to be himself. Don't be ashamed of who he is. Don't be ashamed that you're weird and different, because that's what makes you amazing. To my future self, I would say thank you for giving me the difficult lessons that you did, and thank you for always being with me and always speaking to me, even when I didn't hear you, even when I didn't listen. And thank you for making me strong and kind.
Love it, man. Very moving. Big words, big energy. Hope you guys can feel that. So good. As I like Pensado's place, and we also have producers and audio engineers here. For those people, could you share your favorite audio plugin real quick, or tool that you find essential in your music production? I like to place that question here because it's kind of awkward, weird, but let's place it here.
It's good. I love a nerdy question. The plugin that I use the most
Auto-tune.
is such a is yeah. Auto tune. That's it. The plugin that I use the most is it's kind of a lame plugin, but I use it a lot, and it's the Waves Maserati vocal.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
All
yeah. It
right. I
has
will try that.
really unique sound, and especially with the SM7B, I use that.
Cool.
I use that on almost all my lead vocals,
Wow.
and Decapitator is probably Sound Toys Decapitator. I mean, it's nothing fancy. Everyone has this, but I use that a lot.
Love it. Me too. I use on the vocals the CLA version of the vocals. You know, the CLA vocals,
Oh,
right?
of course.
But we'll try the Maserati, bro. Probably has a little more grit. You know, let's see.
I prefer the Maserati Waves one.
Cool.
It's a little maybe a little more grit, a
I think so.
little shinier with the SM7B. It gives it a sparkle and a grit.
Done. You will hear it in the next demos. Okay. Final ones. What's on the horizon for Roy English, aka Jagwar Twin? Any future projects, collaborations, personal goals you're excited to share with the audience?
I'm going to be releasing an EP next year and a few more singles early in the year that I'm really excited about. It's a really good batch of songs, all very Slavic, German, Polish, Russian influenced. It's been such a joy to create in this little box. And tour next year. Do a tour in 2024. And I want to get to Japan and I want to get to Mexico. Mexico has been playing the shit out of my last single, Good Time 108. It's all over the radio there now. On the pop channels, which is so cool.
Wow.
Shout
Congratulations.
out to Mexico. They've been supporting it so huge. So I'm excited to get over there. And
Germany, of course, right?
And of course Germany. I'm gonna play at the Polka Fest.
Yeah. At the beer garden, you know?
The beer garden, that's right. That would be fun.
Amazing. So, as we come to an end of our conversations, Roy, if there's one piece of wisdom or insight you'd like to share with our listeners, something that has been pivotal on your journey or message that holds special significance to you, what would it be? What's the key takeaway you'd like to leave your audience with as they continue on their own journey?
Trust yourself. Nobody knows better than you your path. Please trust yourself and believe in yourself, and also be willing to stand firm when you need to. Just because you can see all perspectives, just because you can see someone else's perspective doesn't mean that it's right for you.
Yes. Amen. I'm with you. So, thank you all for joining us on this incredible journey into more to this life. If you enjoyed today's episode with the amazing Elroy, be sure to follow Jagwar Twin on TikTok and Instagram for more of his inspiring journey in music. You can also connect with me, Templemind, on TikTok and Instagram to stay updated on upcoming episodes, behind the scenes content and music and more. Bro, it was so amazing to have you here. I really appreciate our exchange. I think there were some huge light-filled nuggets that I hope inspire many more people. And they can always probably reach out to you or me here in Germany if they want to learn more of the crazy things that we do when we don't do podcasts or do music. And yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and more links in the comments down below. Let us know how you like this. And thank you, Roy, so much.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you, Phil.
Bye, guys.
There's more to this life.